Welcome to According to Sam, folks. How's your week going so far? What a comeback story, people. What a comeback story. We passed the test. I said that this election was going to be a IQ test for the country, and we did a good job. It wasn't that I wasn't confident and didn't think that the American people were going to do the right thing. I was confident in 2020, and I remember what happened in 2020. Turns out that about nearly 20 million, between 15 and 20 million voters from 2020 decided not to show up and vote for the Democrats this year. Well, I don't know what happened to those 15 to 20 million people, but I was confident in 2020 that Donald Trump was going to win in 2020. And, I was just really reluctant after being, burnt in 2020 to, get up a lot of hope, for this election. But, the American people came through. They came through, and not only in a small way, the American people came through in a big way. I have so much information to share with you guys today that I'm not going to be able to get to everything. I already know that. But between now and the end of the year, I'm going to start doing a series of podcasts where I'm going to talk about a lot of things. I got a lot of things to share with you guys because this is not the end. This is the beginning, and it's not about Donald Trump. It's about us. It's about the American people. The American people did this, and the American people came together to do this, and we have to stay together. I have so much, again, that I want to share, so I don't want to drag on any longer. I want to get to some of these clips, but between now and the end of the year, we're going to finish really, really strong because, again, this is not the end. This is the beginning. It's a new beginning. Like Trump is saying, we have the opportunity for revival here. We have the opportunity to turn back. That was Kamala Harris's campaign slogan. We won't go back. We won't go back. Yes, we want to go back. We want to go back. Not on everything, but in some aspects, yes, we've gone too far. We've gone the wrong direction, and we want to go back. We have the opportunity to do that. And in doing that, enter into what Donald Trump said the other night, that a golden age, what I've been talking about, a Pax Americana. I'm so excited. I want to get right into these clips. This is a clip just breaking down how huge Donald Trump's win was on Tuesday night. Take a listen.
Election. Donald Trump's victory was astonishing in its scope. He increased his vote share across the U.S., claiming the battleground states of North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, and bolstering his support among almost all social groups.
You need to understand that, what she just said, that he bolstered his support by all social groups. Everyone's talking about, this narrative and exit polls, people. Exit polls are no more reliable than the other polls that got this election drastically wrong. This election was nowhere as close as what the polls told us that it was going to be. And what you need to understand is that exit polls are no more reliable than the polls that got the entire election wrong. But the exit polls tell us, and that's everyone's, dissecting through these exit polls, looking for these demographic markers. This many white women, this many black men, this many, and what Donald Trump built was a coalition breaking off increments of each one of those demographics. He's not trying to win all of the black vote. He got enough. He's not trying to win all of the Hispanic vote. He got enough. He's not trying to win all of the black women. He got enough. He's not trying to win all of the white women. He got enough. his coalition is more representative of America because it's built on something else. And that's what these people do not understand. So Donald Trump, no matter what you say about black men not being Democrats not losing black men, yes. So Democrats have a huge problem because they can address this election and handle this loss two different ways. And you can already see the way they're handling it is not the prudent way. They can either look at themselves, look internally at what they represent and make changes and say, how can we be more appealing to people? Or they can start pointing the finger, which is what I'm seeing a lot of now. But Donald Trump got more votes in every demographic. He expanded his vote, not only got more vote and won the popular vote in every demographic. He got more vote. Huge win.
Around states of North Carolina, Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin, and bolstering his support among almost all social groups. Trump increased his vote share in every state. Apart from Utah and Washington, he also garnered the support of a remarkable 1 in 3 voters of color, most likely the best performance of any Republican presidential candidate since George W. Bush in his 2004 re-election effort. Trump picked up a small but significant share of younger voters, black voters, and Hispanic voters, many of whom were feeling down about the economy. Among voters under 30, slightly less than half went for Trump, an improvement from his 2020 performance. And this year, Latino men broke in his direction for the first time. Biden won their support by 23 points back in 2020. Trump won them in 2024. Joe, a lot to unpack here.
Beat down is what Trump handed down. He's got such a mandate that if Democrats try to obstruct him, then they're going to look like the obstructionists because now he's got such a broad mandate that people want the changes. People voted for the changes and the things that Donald Trump said that he was going to do. And if they try to obstruct now, I mean, they're going to look even more. And that's what I'm starting to see. The good news so far that I've seen, and I know that emotions are still very raw, and we're just still days away from the election. But what I'm hearing from these guys, I mean, they haven't learned anything. We'll see if they start learning some stuff. But they haven't learned anything, and they're going to keep going down the same path. And if they do that, then I'm telling you, J.D. Vance is going to be sworn in as president of the United States on January 20th, 2029. Now, these missing votes, this guy knew. I told you guys in the last podcast that this is the look of someone who was not confident. This guy knew what was coming. He knew it. Just tell by the look on his face. Now, about these missing 15 to 20 million votes that just disappeared from 2020, that's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. But Democrats would have been better off if Donald Trump would have won in 2020 and would be ending his second term now than beginning his second term in 2025. And this is why Donald Trump is in a much better position. People, you guys don't understand what happened on Tuesday night. This is a big, big deal. Take a listen.
Democrats thought taking the presidency in 2020 was a big win for them. Wrong. They would have been better off letting Trump win. A 2020 Trump presidency would have seen him being stuck with a Democrat-controlled House and Senate. He would have been a bit stifled. Now, he's got the numbers in the Senate to confirm anyone he wants, and he's looking to have the House too. Trump will likely be able to do anything he wants to do. Big Beautiful Wall, anyone? Joe Biden was able to appoint a Supreme Court justice due to liberal Stephen Breyer playing ball and retiring. But now, Trump is likely going to be able to pick Clarence Thomas's replacement and maybe Samuel Alito's replacement. And Sonia Sotomayor has been having health problems and might have to retire sooner than later. And guess what? He can pick anyone he wants and the Senate will confirm. No need to moderate the pick. A 2020 Trump presidency would have kept him with Mike Pence and his slew of establishment figures. All that he's been through since he's left office, I'm sure, has awakened him to the true nature of his enemies. And now he's picked up a team of super friends lined up, ready to destroy the deep state, including Elon Musk, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Ron Paul, Tulsi, and of course, a certain based hillbilly. Not to mention, Trump has managed to build his voter base and win in such an expansive way that pundits have described it as a political earthquake. The landscape of the electorate has likely changed in MAGA's favor for an entire generation.
It's absolutely for a
ask
generation.
Yourself, Democrats, was this worth it?
What happened to those 15 million votes? Was it worth it? Was it worth it? What happened to those 15 million votes? Trump is in such a great position. Usually in your second term is when you have to deal with, divided government. Trump would have been, that would have been a lame duck term, his second term, if he would, especially after COVID. He's in such a better position. We are in such a better position. All things work together for good for those who love God and are called according to his purpose. We're in such a better position, folks. That was a huge win on Tuesday night. And, I want to explain to what happened. I want to spend, the rest of this podcast talking to, Democrats, talking to people who voted for Kamala Harris, who don't understand what happened or in a fog, wondering how so many Americans could have supported this man and voted for this man after everything that we've experienced with Trump since 2015, a decade ago, when he first came down the escalator and announced that he was running for president. Nothing but knives being thrown at this guy, nothing but him being in the forefront of all political discussion. He basically has taken over the Republican Party, and you're wondering why. You're wondering how this happened. Well, I want to explain to you how this happened. I want to spend a little time explaining to you what's going on in this country. And hopefully, if some of you are smart, you'll come over and join us if you have common sense. That's one of the things that Trump said on Tuesday night, is that this is a win for common sense. This is about nothing more but common sense. And there's two types of people in this country. We're going to talk about these two factions. I've told you about them before, but one of these factions are a people of common sense, and one of these people factions are people that are emotionally driven, irrational, have no common sense at all, and they're the people that are bewildered right now. They're the people who don't understand what just happened in Tuesday night, and I'm going to explain that to you. So, I don't even believe Donald Trump would have been able to win the nomination without the indictments. Beginning with the indictment in New York, Alvin Bragg was the first to indict Donald Trump on crazy hush money case that everyone who knows anything about the case and the legal maneuvering that had to take place for him to raise these misdemeanors to felonies in the city of Manhattan, where Donald Trump is hugely unpopular. This guy runs for the office of DA. He runs for the office on the platform that I'm going to go after Donald Trump, that I'm going to get Donald Trump. This guy run. That was his platform when he ran. I'm going to go get that guy. I'm going to use the legal system to go get that guy. This guy, Alvin Bragg. And then the people in Manhattan elect him on that platform that we're going to go get Donald Trump. So then he's elected by the people on that platform that we're going to go get Donald Trump. So that means all the people that live there in Manhattan that elected this guy on that platform, they want to go get Donald Trump. So then this guy's elected and then he indicts Donald Trump, and then Donald Trump has to pick his jury out of the electorate that elected this guy to go get Donald Trump. Now, when Alvin Bragg indicted Donald Trump, the Republican Party was divided on Donald Trump. Republicans, a lot of the candidates like Herschel Walker, Kerry Lake in 2022 lost that Senate seat. Herschel Walker lost that Senate seat. Donald Trump had endorsed what's his name in Pennsylvania, Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz lost. Donald Trump had the loser stink all over him going into the primary. There was half of the Republican Party that was done with Donald Trump, that wanted to put the MAGA experience aside, and it was going to be a highly contentious primary. I think that Ron DeSantis and Donald Trump were polling around neck and neck. That's why Ron DeSantis jumped in the race, is because Donald Trump had the stink of loser on him, and Ron DeSantis believed, and he was talked into by a bunch of the Republican big money guys, that they talked Ron DeSantis into getting to the race because they sensed that Trump was weak and that DeSantis could make his move. That's the way it looked. And then when this guy indicted Donald Trump, it's the most beautiful thing that could have happened, Alvin Bragg, because when this guy indicted Donald Trump, the Republican Party started to coalesce around Donald Trump like I've never seen. Ron DeSantis, when he ran in Iowa, he hit every single Iowa county. He was in it to win it. But you could not peel off Trump voters, because Trump voters were trying to protect Donald Trump because they saw that these guys, these bullies, were using the lawfare. They were using the lawfare. And the lawfare is what endeared Americans to Donald Trump. You people are literally on the news saying over and over again that Donald Trump is running to stay out of jail. How many times did you hear that narrative? That Donald Trump was running to stay out of jail. That you guys, if Donald Trump didn't win, you guys were going to put him in jail. And you sat on TV and you talked about this and you laughed about it. And you were using it. People don't like bullies, and you guys were trying to paint him as the bullies, and you're the bullies. You're the bullies. And this is when Donald Trump started to gain in popularity again. This is what motivated the people to support him through the primary, and why he won the primary. He wouldn't even debate. He didn't even have to debate. He didn't even have to debate in the primary, and he won the primary because the people were not voting for him. They were voting against you. They were voting against you, Jack Smith, and you, Alvin Bragg, and you, Fonnie Willis, and you, Tisha James, because you guys were the bullies, and you were using the power of the courts, the power of the legal system to penalize a political rival. And it was obvious to everyone. And that's how Donald Trump started to build enough support to where he could win the primary without even debating, that people started to coalesce around him to protect him, because we saw you as the bullies. We saw you using the legal system to bully this guy and to take away his candidacy. And what the American people were saying is, look, you don't decide. We decide. We decide. You decide. We decided on Tuesday. We decided on Tuesday. You don't decide. We decide. The American people decide. And you guys are the bullies. You guys were trying to use the legal system to persecute this guy. And that's why people started to rally around him. And everyone knew this. This was Fareed Zakaria. This was, I think, after Donald Trump was found guilty in Manhattan and the verdict was came down. And this was Fareed Zakaria on CNN on his show. Take a listen to what he says.
And the trials against him keep him in the spotlight, infuriate his base, who sees him as a martyr, and even may serve to make him the object of some sympathy among people in general who believe that his prosecutors are politically motivated. This happens to be true, in my opinion. I doubt the New York indictment would have been brought against a defendant whose name was not Donald Trump.
It happens to be true. He says that they're using the legal system to persecute him. Most of these people believe that about him. They've created a martyr in him by persecuting him and using the legal system to persecute him. And then Fareed Zakaria says that this is my personal opinion. Now let's make it personal. I was speaking in general at first, but now let's make it personal. This is my personal opinion, and I believe they are right. That this case in New York never would have been brought if this guy's name was not Donald Trump. That's lawfare, people.
Prosecutors are politically motivated. This happens to be true, in my opinion. I doubt the New York indictment would have been brought against a defendant whose name was not Donald Trump. A majority of Americans are skeptical that Trump will be able to get a fair trial.
How's he going to get a fair trial when the people elected the district attorney on the platform to go get him? How's he going to get a fair trial? It's ridiculous. This is the ex-governor of New York who had the same job as Alvin Bragg, who is a Democrat like Alvin Bragg. Take a listen to what he says.
The trial in New York, the one he got convicted for, was the greatest fundraising bonanza ever. He was lagging behind Biden, and now he's pulled quite a bit ahead. That trial was the greatest reason people had to send their checks for $5, $10, $25, whatever dollars to Donald Trump. So I was always with you on the one in New York, the hush money trial. I don't think they should have brought that one.
Shouldn't have brought any of them.
It was going to look like a sex case, and people were always just going to look at it that way. So anyway.
That case, the Attorney General's case in New York, frankly, should have never been brought. And if his name was not Donald Trump, and if he wasn't running for president, I'm the former AG in New York, I'm telling you that case would have never been brought.
So if his name was not, are you getting notes from Fareed Zakaria? Are you and Fareed Zakaria on the same text messages or what? Because you say the exact same thing that Fareed Zakaria just says, that if his name wasn't Donald Trump, that this case never would have been brought. I said that he was had the same job as, he says AG. I thought that he was the DA, but no, he was the AG of New York. That the case wouldn't have been brought if his name was not Donald Trump, is what Cuomo says. I mean, you don't think the American people are smart enough to pick up on this?
And people were always just going to look at it that way. So anyway.
That case, the Attorney General's case in New York, frankly, should have never been brought. And if his name was not Donald Trump, and if he wasn't running for president, I'm the former AG in New York, I'm telling you that case would have never been brought. And that's what is offensive to people. And it should be. Because if there's anything left, it's belief in the justice system.
If there's anything left, it's belief in the justice system. People are offended. They were offended by that. They were offended that you would use the justice system to go after this guy. That offended me and offended millions of Americans. So while people are wondering what happened and doing the post-mortem and the autopsy report and all that, I haven't heard very many people talk about this. I haven't heard very many people give this analysis about how American people were offended by the fact that you guys would use the legal system and use the justice system to persecute this guy. After you had already used the impeachment process while he was president and all the obstruction that you did while he was president as well. We're done. People are fed up with you people. You guys are the bullies, and you guys are disgusting, and people are disgusted with you. So that's what's going on here. This was The View, and this is back when Donald Trump was first indicted. The very first indictment was handed down. I want you to look at how they were celebrating on The View about these indictments.
So it is a landmark day for the American legal system and a vindication of the rule of law. Here's the moments that will go down in history.
Was Gwyneth Paltrow at fault? No.
Thank you. And in other legal news, and to quote the great Sonny Hostin, the twice impeached, I can't even speak.
Twice impeached.
The twice impeached, one term, once indicted, but who's counting? Former president is reportedly facing more than 30, count them, criminal charges. So, how do we feel about this unprecedented moment in American history?
I called it.
Did you? We feel good. Begging for applause.
Donald Trump finally won a popular vote yesterday. The grand jury voted to indict him.
Yeah, he won one on Tuesday, too.
Boy, because I was reading this article where Ivanka and Jared apparently want to start their new life in Miami, and I was thinking, you know, they now can give their children the distinction of having matching mugshots for both of their grandfathers.
Yeah.
You can pick whether you want Charlie Kushner or Donald Trump mugshot if you are Jared and Ivanka's child.
I have such a little juicy nugget that I found this morning.
Hurry up, because you have a legal note. And then
I remember reporting on this when it happened. What she's going to do here, this little juicy note that she's going to read, is that the judge that was assigned this case after Alvin Bragg indicted Trump happened to be Merchan, who had already ruled against Donald Trump on several other cases. So she's celebrating on this show, and they're having a good old time celebrating the fact that Donald Trump is assigned a judge in this criminal case where the electorate elected the guy to bring the case, a judge with the bias. So she's celebrating the fact that this judge has a bias.
The judge that presided over that case where the Trump family was found guilty is the same judge presiding over Donald Trump's 30 counts.
Read your legal note.
Isn't that juicy?
It's juicy. It's juicy. So they're all giddy back then when Trump was indicted. They're not giddy no more, I tell you that. Very few smiles on The View the past few days. Very little laughing and giggling like they were when Trump was indicted. But you see that was just an example. That was just the entire party and the way that you guys reacted to this lawfare that went on. It's really interesting too about how the Latino vote broke for Trump, because everybody was saying that, this Nazi rally that he had at Madison Square Garden, and the comedian who made a joke and offended all of these Puerto Rican people, and the Puerto Ricans are going to come out and because they were offended, you guys really took people for granted. You think these people are so thin-skinned and sensitive that they would make an important decision about who's going to lead the free world by some joke that some comedian made. But during the trials there in New York, when Donald Trump couldn't campaign, he was having to stay in court every day as this bogus case went on in New York. He held this one rally in the Bronx while he was there, and it was insane. All these people from the Bronx came out and they were supporting Donald Trump, and people couldn't believe how much support. And if you guys look at the final vote in New York, I mean, look how well Donald Trump did, even in states that he lost. New Jersey, I mean, he was within 5% in New Jersey. That's what I'm saying. And this is a huge mandate that if you guys start obstructing Donald Trump, then when you can expect J.D. Vance to win New Jersey in 2028 when he wins the presidency, if you guys start obstructing this agenda. That's how powerful this mandate is, that when you guys start obstructing, that people in these states that Democrats barely won, and there was this huge Republican surge, you guys just keep it up. Keep it up. I hope you keep it up. I don't want you to learn anything from this. Don't learn anything. Just do the blame game stuff. Do what you guys do and just keep it up. Please keep it up. So this is a Puerto Rican girl and her father that was at the rally there in the Bronx when Donald Trump did his rally there while he was under the lawfare and having to sit there in court every day. Take a listen to what this woman says.
Have you both been Democrats in the past?
I've been Democrat my whole life, and just about a few years back, I went independent.
Okay.
Me too. I was a lifelong Democrat. I voted Democrat. You Puerto Rican, you're Spanish, you live in the hood, you're supposed to vote Democrat. But once you start waking up to, the biggest mistake they did was mess with Trump, because that woke up a lot of people. A lot of people.
A lot of people.
Is waking up
a lot of people.
So you would never guess all these people here for Trump. You would never see it before. You couldn't even see that in 2020. You wouldn't see it, but now you're seeing it. The worst thing they did is do what they do. What they doing to him it's just making it easier for us to go another.
What's
side.
she talking about? What they're doing to him? What they did to him? They messed up when they messed with Trump. They messed up with what they did to Trump. She's talking about the lawfare. She's talking about what the lawfare, what you guys did to Trump. You messed up in what you did to Trump when you used the law to go after Trump. You messed up when you did that. That's what she says. You messed up. Take a listen to what she says, the rest of what she says, because it's very, very interesting. She says that she used to be a Democrat. She used to work used to vote for Democrats all the time. And now she starts waking up because a lot of people woke up when they started messing with Trump. When they started using the law to go after Trump, people started waking up, is what she said.
A lot of people, and what they're doing now is waking up even more people. So you would never guess all these people here for Trump. You would never see it before. You couldn't even see that in 2020. You wouldn't see it, but now you're seeing it. The worst thing they did is do what they do. What they doing to him it's just making it easier for us to go on the other side. What they doing to us, the American people and the working class, you making us go somewhere else. You're losing votes. I would never, ever, ever, ever vote for them, ever.
Look at the disgust on her face when she says, I will never vote for them again. She says, I will never, ever, ever, ever. ever, 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 ever vote for them again. I will never, ever, ever vote for them again, is what she said.
To us, the American people and the working class, you making us go somewhere else. You're losing votes. I would never, ever, ever, ever vote for them ever again. Not locally, no state, federal, nothing.
Nothing. Democrats, you get nothing. You get no state, no local, nothing. I will never vote for you again. I'm disgusted by the Democratic Party, is what this woman says. Do you think this woman got offended by some comedian calling Puerto Rico garbage? You think that changed her? Oh my God, I'm so offended that this comedian called Puerto Rico, this island that I come from, where I have family. Or do you think that she recognized that it was a joke, that she understands what is real is this lawfare? What's real is these prices. You're going to get offended by some joke that some comedian says? Man, you guys really, really messed up. And this is something that I have been saying. I've been talking to you about it. I said just a few weeks ago what the factions in this election was, what this election was about. People are starting to realize it. You're hearing a lot of talk about this, about the information cycle and the information war. We're in an information war. That's what it is. I told you that that's what this election was going to be about. It's about information. And you don't even have to tell me who you voted for. If you tell me where you got your information, I can pretty sure that I can be pretty sure that I can pick the candidate that you voted for just based on where you get your information. And that's something that people are starting. This is a huge topic of discussion in the post-mortem, in the autopsy reports that were being given on Kamala Harris is that this is an information war, and the mainstream legacy media is losing that war. People have tuned out of them. I told you this just a few weeks ago. Just want to play this little clip from the podcast that I did, episode 257. Take a listen. This isn't about Democrats or Republicans or conservatives or liberals or red or blue or black or white. It's not even about good versus evil, which I've heard a lot of people put this election in those terms. This election is simply about the two different camps are the people that still believe these liars and tune in and watch these liars, people like Van Jones, channels like CNN, MSNBC, Fox News, CBS, all of the mainstream media, CNN, the factions in this election are the people who still believe those liars on TV and still believe the mainstream media, and the people who have no respect for them and see them as the enemy within. So, and those are the factions. And I'm going to go further into that today and show you the difference in the people who have left legacy media, who are not consuming legacy media. Legacy media has no influence on them at all. These people are disgusted by legacy media and see them as nothing more than the enemies of the people, the enemy within, as Trump said, that these people are liars and these people are feeding the division. And people have turned away from them, and they have started to consume other forms of media, alternative forms of media. And that is what this election was about the information war. I want you to listen to this guy on the CBS, their election night discussion, their panel. Take a listen.
The argument that Kamala Harris and her supporters made is that Donald Trump is unstable, unhinged, and unchecked because of the immunity. That message was used after the many of his chief of staff in particular said that he was a fascist, that he was dangerous, that he was a threat to national security. And the voters today have returned him to office with a mandate, despite those judgments of people who have 4 stars on their shoulders and worked closely with him for several years.
It's not even despite sometimes. It's without,
in spite of.
Or without any consideration in a deliberate decision to ignore it. One thing we have to acknowledge, I believe, as reporters, is that on the campaign trail, so many voters.
So many. Listen to how he says so many. I want you to notice how he emphasizes that so many.
A deliberate decision to ignore it. One thing we have to acknowledge, I believe, as reporters, is that on the campaign trail, so many voters do not care about how Trump's behavior and conduct are characterized by his critics or those who believe they are guardrails for American democracy.
Listen to what he says. So many voters do not care what we say, basically. That's what he's saying. He's on this CBS panel, and he's saying that so many voters don't care what we say. They don't care about what we say here on CBS. They don't care about what they're saying on ABC. They have tuned us out. They've tuned out legacy media. They do not care, is what this guy says. That so many voters are saying that they have disgust for the media. They've tuned you out. They've seen you and they've seen your bias, and they do not want to consume what you're selling. They have no trust in you.
Voters is that on the campaign trail, so many voters do not care about how Trump's behavior and conduct are characterized by his critics or those who believe they are guardrails for American democracy. They are sharply dismissive when the points are raised by journalists and by others. Yeah. This is a fact I have encountered constantly as a reporter.
Sharply dismissive, and this is a fact that I have encountered constantly. Listen to this guy. You think this guy's had this interaction just one or two times? No.
Or those who believe they are guardrails for American democracy. They are sharply dismissive when the points are raised by journalists and by others. Yeah. This is a fact I have encountered constantly as a reporter. Dismissive. And when you bring up all these different data points about character, conduct, and about how presidential norms have been established for over 2 centuries in American political life, there's a pushback against that kind of assertion.
Dismissive.
About norms, constitution, a constitutional system, and even the rule of law. What we have to also, I think, acknowledge as reporters is we are entering a new moment in America that is volatile, where you do not have an acceptance, broadly speaking, of how the rule of law is defined in the United States and how the Constitution is defined.
No, they don't trust you. That's what it's about. And that's the gist of what he's saying, is that the American people are dismissive of you people. They don't trust you people anymore. You are no longer, listen to what he says, the guardrail, I don't know what he says, the guardrails of democracy or whatever. You're the guardrails of nothing. You people are pompous, elitist, smug. Nobody listens to you. Nobody cares what you have to say, except there are a lot of people who do. And they are we're going to look at some of these people who still believe these people. Like I said, that's what this election was about. It was two different factions. The people who don't trust these guys are dismissive of them, don't care what they say, and the people who do. And there is about 43% of the country who's still listening to these guys. It's not enough. It's not enough. And they're losing people by the day. But that's what this is about. This is an information war. This is another clip from this panel. I don't have the video, but just the audio. Take a listen.
Do you think his appearance on Joe Rogan's popular podcast helped cement him with this new coalition of Republican voters?
Well, if we're thinking about that coalition as containing young white men under 30, it also contains young Latino men and young black men, but he did particularly well among young white voters under 30. I think it's Joe Rogan. I think it's all the podcasts that he went on and his general aspect and response to kind of the norms and the fussiness of elites. And experts and all of that, which has been his thorough message for years.
2008 was the YouTube election, right? And the blog election. This was clearly the podcast election.
And by fussiness of the elites, do you mean fact-checking by people who do what we do for a living?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's absolutely.
Thank you for the clarification, Mark.
Yeah.
But it's an important point because it's just direct to consumer, put it right in your vein, messaging whatever you want to say.
Right. I mean, there used to be, you had to clear a threshold of, 60 minutes. He didn't do 60 Minutes, but he did the podcast that fed right into this constituency.
Mm-hmm. I can so remember covering George W. Bush, who would say, "You guys are just the filter."
Yeah, nobody's listening. Nobody's listening to you guys. That's the thing. Why would Donald Trump do 60 Minutes when he's not trying to reach 60 Minutes? Of course, he would go on Joe Rogan's podcast. People are listening to Joe Rogan's podcast. Nobody cares what you guys think. And that is the new paradigm shift. That's what you guys are finally understanding, is that you guys have no power anymore. That people see that you clearly have a bias, that you clearly have an agenda, and they're consuming other forms of media. They're consuming not only Joe Rogan's podcast, not only all of the different podcasts that Donald Trump did go on, but you got to think about all the podcasts that are like this, and podcasts that talked about the issues and promoted the issues that Donald Trump were talking about, unfiltered, and clean out all of the bias of the media. And I mean, this is just a new day, and these people realize it, that that they're losing the information war. Take a listen.
Particularly the media ecosystem it's not a good one. It's a negative one. It's a radicalization funnel. But what they have done in their online media ecosystem.
They're calling it a radical. So now they're understanding it, and they're saying these people are being radicalized, that they're believing the misinformation on the podcast. No, fool. They're going to the podcast. People are consumers ultimately. People consume what they want to consume. People are going to the podcast and started to consume other forms of media because they see you as misinformation. They see your bias. You're the people that are selling the filth that people don't want to consume.
It's not a good one. It's a negative one. It's a radicalization funnel. But what they have done in their online media ecosystem is build a radicalization engine, literally the way militant groups do around the world, that takes people from relatively low-level annoyances with the world. Why are eggs so expensive? Why is my kid learning this new thing in American history in school that I didn't learn? And then moves them through YouTube videos, through podcasts, moves them from that annoyance all the way slowly to a full-blown fascist politics. It's an elaborate multi-billion-dollar infrastructure, and there is nothing like it.
See what I say? Instead of looking at themselves, instead of looking at what we could have done different to appeal to people more, they're still using the same narrative, that these people are radicalized by listening to their podcast, and they're fascistic and all this stuff. So they're going to keep it up. You guys got to get JD Vance for 8 years. Keep it up. I love it. Keep it up. Here's some more. Take a listen.
We've always been sort of the leading edge of where media is going with Politico, now with Axios. You understand the environment so well. How do Democrats, and frankly, how does legacy media need to change the way it thinks about getting information? I mean, a lot of the voters who went out and voted for Donald Trump, that so many people are wondering what happened here, they're not watching, frankly, this show. They're not reading the New York Times. They're not consuming media that way. And the Trump campaign found those voters where they live. So how do Democrats need to change the way they communicate to voters, if you think that's part of the problem?
For sure. I mean, I think all of us have to come to grips with legacy media is just not as important as it thinks it is. It is to you. It is to me. That's a relatively small group of people who rely on us for their information. And you have to go into the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. And basically, the way people get information has shattered into 20, 30 different pieces. And so if you just look empirically at the numbers, Joe Rogan's more important than any of us. He just has a much bigger, hyper-connected audience that listens to his every word. So maybe listen to Joe Rogan and kind of understand, like, what is he talking about? What are the guests that he has on? What are the issues that they care about? Realize that the gravity of right-wing discourse is now taking place on X. It's not Fox. X is what matters. Elon Musk is now, I wrote about this yesterday, arguably the most powerful civilian in the history of the country. He controls information flow. He controls multiple businesses. He has the president's ear.
X plays a huge role. X plays a huge role. But I would, consider X a alternative media source now. It wasn't before Elon bought it back in the 2020 election. X, or Twitter at that time, was censoring stories about Hunter Biden's laptop. They were totally in bed with the Democratic Party. It's completely changed now. But that's an example of the biases that have turned people off. That's just part of it. The lawfare, the biases, and the media landscape, the two different paradigms. It's basically two different worlds. You have people that live in a completely different world from the group of people that are not plugged in to the matrix. People that are not feeding off of mainstream media, corporate media, and the legacy media. They live in a completely different world than the people that consume that stuff on a daily basis, that sit in front of MSNBC and watch 5 hours of MSNBC. It's rotting people's minds, and they're doing it on purpose. They know that what they're doing. And now those people are in complete shock. They have no idea why what just happened this week happened. They don't know. They have no idea how what happened in this week just happened, because everyone they know is like them. Everyone they know is a Democrat like them, is a liberal like them, voted for Kamala Harris. Everyone that they know is repulsed by Donald Trump and believe that he's a monster and that he's going to destroy this country. They all consume the same media. They read the same papers, and they live in a bubble, and they have no idea how, and they're distraught. They're so emotionally distraught. They're angry, and they do not know. They can't explain it. I want you to listen to this guy. This guy helps explain it a little bit to you.
Why do you see so many more Kamala signs in people's yards than you do Trump signs? Why do you see so many more Kamala stickers on people's cars? Is it because Kamala has so many more supporters? No, and that's obvious from the polling. The reason is because when you put a Trump sign in your yard, you have to worry about your house getting vandalized.
Absolutely.
When you put a Trump bumper sticker on your car, you have to worry about your car getting keyed in a parking lot. Say what you want about Trump supporters, but they aren't going to vandalize your house because you had a Kamala sign in your yard.
Two different mindsets.
But if you put a Trump sign in your yard, you genuinely have to worry that someone on the left is going to vandalize your home, because people on the left use their political beliefs to justify vandalism and violence. We saw that very clearly with the George Floyd riots. So the people on the side of democracy will engage in vandalism to suppress other people's speech.
Absolutely.
Even though speech is like the bedrock of democracy. The people who are fighting fascism use intimidation tactics like vandalism to suppress their political opposition. I just think it's telling to the values that are common on each side that the right has to worry about that sort of vandalism and the left doesn't.
It's two different mindsets. It's two different mindsets. The people on the right are consuming different information than the people on the left. These overly emotional people who you see spreading the TikTok videos around crying. They don't know how this happened, how so many Americans could have voted for this guy. Where did all these people come from? But they've been quiet. They can't brandish the fact that they support Trump. They can't wear a Trump hat or put a sticker on their car because you guys are unstable. You guys can't handle people having a different opinion than you, and you react to that. So people were just quiet. They just kept quiet, and they did their thing in the polls. This is an example. This video went viral. This is in Pennsylvania. This woman had a Trump sign out in front of her yard, and then her neighbor comes to her door. This is recorded on a Ring camera. Her neighbor comes to her door and confronts her about supporting Donald Trump. If you haven't seen this, take a listen.
Hi. I want to know how you can vote.
We can't answer the door right now, but if you'd like to leave a message, you can do it now.
Shameful. Are you the one that walks
You're
by
shameful.
here and always screaming at people? No, I haven't walked by recently. Okay, because a lot of people walk by.
Look at this woman.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
You can tell this woman sits around and watches hours of MSNBC. This woman has not missed a Rachel Maddow show in 5 years. I guarantee you. 10 years, this woman's been watched every single Rachel Maddow show. You can just tell. Look at the face of this woman. What kind of woman's going to come to your neighbor's house and confront them about who they're supporting in an election? It's ridiculous, but this is an example.
Are you the one that walks by here and always screaming at people? No, I haven't walked by recently. Okay, because a lot of people.
Look how angry she is.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. You are voting for the devil. Don't you know that? No. Why are you voting for him? Because I believe he is the moral candidate. Oh my God. You for that one. That's moral? Exactly that's how your side acts. Oh my God. That's he's the most immoral person around. In your opinion, that's okay.
Listen.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Have a nice day.
She throws the finger.
Have a nice day. God everybody's opposed. God bless you.
You see what I'm saying about the woke mind virus, people? This is what I'm talking about. And I feel sorry for these people. I feel sorry for this woman that she sits around watching MSNBC all day and that her mind has been infected with that poison. Here's another one. This is before the election. This is some videos that went viral just last week, or the one from Pennsylvania was a few weeks ago. This one was just last week in Virginia. This group of women are talking about the election, talking about how they couldn't support Kamala Harris. Look at this woman's face. You see the same look on all of their faces, the woke mind virus. And she can't stand the fact that this group of women are talking about politics next to her in the restaurant, and they have a different political opinion. And I want you to look at the way this woman behaves.
So I call it right. So I call it right. And am I a liberal? Do I disagree? Are you a Democrat? Yes, I am. Okay. So the only people. So I work for the government. The only people who ever challenged. Why did you do such a social conversation? Just shut
So this sound is not great. She goes, I'm shocked. You're uneducated women. Calls them uneducated. That's the thing. That's the thing you guys people need to understand. That people are sick of your smug elitism. They're sick of your pompous attitude. People are sick of you. People are sick of you people. You guys don't understand how sick we are of you. You don't understand. Calls them uneducated just because they have a different political opinion than her. You're uneducated women.
It means that you understand what somebody is saying. I think we now sex offender and accused of espionage, indicted for espionage.
She's talking about all the lawfare. He's a convicted felon and a sex offender. Yes, he's a convicted felon because you guys use lawfare. He's also president of the United States. He's going to be president of the United States on January 20th. Deal with that. I mean, but I want you to see some of these videos, almost done here, of these are the people that were just quiet. Like this guy says. This guy says that we weren't allowed to brandish our support for Trump. We weren't allowed to wear the hat, put the bumper sticker on, put the sign in our yard because you people are crazy. And if we would have shown you people that we supported Trump, instead of coming up and having a conversation with us and understand why we were supporting Trump and having a dialogue with us, you would just attack us. You would just be vicious to us the way this woman was to her neighbor, the way this woman was to these people. That's what you guys would do to us. So instead of being vocal and brandishing our support for Donald Trump, we were just quiet. Shh. And then we went to the polls and we spoke at the polls. And these are the people that you guys called Nazis. And everybody is putting these videos up of them doing the little dance that Trump did. Trump does. And this is after they voted. You know, they can't go outside in public and brandish the fact that they support Trump, but they started putting these videos out. And I want you to look at some of these people who you guys called Nazis. You guys called these people fascists. You called them Nazis, and they didn't do anything. They didn't argue with you. They didn't, get into these emotional discussions and use violence. All they did was vote. That's all they did was vote. And you called these people Nazis. You made them feel stupid. You told them that they were stupid and they're believing misinformation and disinformation. And all they did was vote. They just went to the polls. Just voted. That's what they did. That's what they did. That's what they did. And these people are different. They're not consuming your woke mind virus media. They're not, I guarantee you that most of these people, they're not listening to CNN. They're not listening to MSNBC or CBS. That woke mind virus has not penetrated their minds because they have tuned it out, and you people have no influence over them. So they're not all emotional and they're not all angry. They're just going to vote. We're just going to vote. We're just going to make our voices heard you guys lost the generation, people. You lost the generation, the young people The young people are on board with MAGA, and you guys lost a generation. You call these people Nazis. Fascists. Look at these people. Look at the look on their face, too. Look at the light in their eyes. It's different from the people with the woke mind virus. Completely different. You guys lost a generation. You got to keep it up. Keep it up. You're going to get J.D. Vance in 2028, and he'll be there for 2 terms. And if you guys don't learn anything and keep it up, you'll probably get Tulsi after that. But you guys lost a generation because you called these people Nazis and you wouldn't allow them to express their political opinion. You tried to lock up a political candidate. Look at this. This is one of my favorite. These old ladies come out of the polling booth. Look at the woman with the walker. She pushes her walker. Oh, man. Yes. Yes. This is awesome. This is awesome. Because these people, this old lady right here, you think you guys lied to her and told her that Trump was going to get rid of her Social Security. So why do you think a woman like this with the walker is voting for Trump if you guys were saying over and over again that Trump's going to get rid? Because she's not listening to you. She's not listening to you, but you want to know what this woman is doing, who's probably on a fixed income? She's going to the grocery store. She's not listening to you guys, you idiots. Tell her that Trump's going to cut her Social Security and all that fear that she's not going to be able to live on her fixed income. She's already having trouble living on her fixed income. Grocery prices are outrageous. Yes, so of course she's doing the dance. This is one of my favorite. This is a guy going to wake up his mother in the middle of the night after they start calling Pennsylvania for Trump. And why don't you take a listen to this little Nazi woman and how happy she is. You guys called this woman a fascist, called her a Nazi.
Hey, Mom, Trump's our president!
Is he really?
Yeah!
Oh, thank you, God. Thank you. I've been up here praying and praying.
Yeah! Trump, motherfucker, yeah!
Let me see. Let me look. Let me see.
You come downstairs.
It's awesome. It's awesome. You called that lady a Nazi and you guys lost because you guys are vicious, vicious people. This is Trump's team at the watch party that they were having. I think they were there in Florida as the polls closed in. And then once it was confirmed that Trump was going to be the president, this was what happened there at Trump's watch party with his team. These people fascists. You guys called these people fascists, and you use hatred and violence, and you bullied Donald Trump with the lawfare, and you guys, I mean, you turn people against you. You've done, and like I said again, Democrats can they can handle this in 2 different ways. They can look internally and say, what is it about us that make people don't like us? Or they can start blaming people and start casting blame and don't do anything to change themselves and to reform the party. And that's the direction that it seems that they're going. And that's the direction I hope you guys go. I hope you guys don't learn anything from this. I have 2 more clips that I want to play. Again, I told you I guys had so much that I wasn't going to be able to share everything that I have. And then we'll pick up on Monday. Like I said, between now and the end of the year, I have a lot to share with you guys, a lot that I want to talk about, and this is just scratching the surface. But this girl, I think she gives a great synopsis of what happened, and she explains very well why Kamala Harris and why Democrats lost big in this election. I want you to listen to her.
Kamala Harris did not lose this election because she's a woman. She lost this election because there were American families sitting there telling her how they couldn't afford to put food in their fridge, and her solution was to bring out Meg Thee Stallion to twerk on stage alongside just about every single one of P. Diddy's friends to endorse her. She lost this election because there were Americans who lost everything in an absolutely horrific hurricane, and she sat there telling them that $750 should be enough for them if they even qualify, while simultaneously funding illegals staying in 5-star hotels in New York City, receiving 3 meals a day provided to them by taxpayer dollars. She lost this election because she sat there talking about how anti-racism she was, while simultaneously blaming straight white men for just about every single problem this country has. Isn't it funny that if you demonize a group of people long enough for merely existing, they might not want to vote for you? American politics has changed forever. You will no longer be able to sit there and bully Americans into voting for you. It won't work. Unfortunately, our politicians on both sides seem to forget that they are actually public servants. They answer to the public, not the other way around. And they need to get behind that. They need to understand that, and they need to change and reform their policies to fit what the public is saying, or they will get left in the dust.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm just telling you guys that America's watching. They're watching on how you guys try to obstruct Donald Trump's agenda. Because it's not his agenda, it's our agenda. We gave him a mandate. We're watching you guys to see if you are going to let him fulfill that mandate, or are you going to obstruct him? I already know what's going to happen. All right, let's listen to this woman. I'm going to play us out. We're almost done. I'll see you guys on Monday after this.
Dear Democrats, do you want to know why you lost? I'm an independent. I've never voted for Trump before in my life. Same with so many of my friends, including friends who were Democrats. Everybody's had enough. Enough. All of the woke stuff being forced down everybody else's throats. Like, genuinely, we don't care if people are woke. We don't care if you're gay. We don't care if you're trans. We don't care whatever. Just don't force everything in our faces and in our kids' faces. Don't force 15-minute cities on us. This whole thing is ridiculous, the EV thing. Don't force us to send money to places like Ukraine when people in North Carolina still don't have houses and their kids are threatened to be taken away because they don't have a house, and CPS is saying, you gotta go someplace. Don't leave homeless veterans on the streets and sit here and house migrants, illegal migrants, for how many millions and billions of dollars of our tax money, and then tell us that we're wrong with it. Yes, we care about people, but you know what? We have to take care of our people first.
Absolutely.
Like the veterans. Like, we cannot. Do you know we could house and take care of every single homeless veteran in America for what we have been dumping into the illegal migrants? Think about that for a few minutes. This is why you lost. There's an overwhelming majority who are sick and tired of that and want to take care of our people. And the rest of us, like I said, I am not Republican. Never have been, never will be. But you know what? I still got lumped in with the being called a Nazi and a garbage and everything because I didn't agree with Democrats. When I first came out and said that I was not voting with Democrat, I have been hated on so much, like viciously.
Because they're hateful. They have the woke mind virus.
If you're going to care about people not agreeing with you, don't attack viciously. Like, we are all in this together. Literally, we are all in this together. So maybe figure out that we're all just human. You know, that would go farther than about anything else, is figure out that we are all on this rock together.
Well, unfortunately, a lot of people are still plugged in. They're plugged into the corrosive legacy media. And the legacy media wants us divided. They don't want Trump to succeed. The elitists and the Democrat and Republican establishment, they're hoping Trump fails. They're hoping he fails. All right, I'll see you guys on Monday. I hope you guys have a good weekend. Thank you for listening.